our chairperson, Dr. Pedi Obani. Please welcome Dr. Pedi.
Thank you very much, Tawa, and good day, everyone. Thanks for joining us, for making time from your busy schedules to be here with us today. As a committee, we're very keen to explore women's rights issues, but also issues to do with community development from the angle of young people as well. And over the past year, we've been exploring various aspects of this connected to international law and development issues within the Nigerian context, but also at the regional level. Just 2 days ago, we had a webinar that was focused on the 16 days of activism against sexual-based violence and gender-based violence, essentially as part of our commitment to ensuring that women's rights, women's issues are amplified at the national level and beyond. And so we're very delighted today to be taking this opportunity to sort of take a step back and think about what this all means for us in terms of refocusing ourselves and repurposing ourselves in a way that makes us better prepared for the work ahead in the coming year as well. So I'm really delighted that we've been joined by excellent speakers, as Tawa has mentioned, and I'm sure you're all itching to hear from them. Thank you very much to our speakers for being here and on time. Thank you to all of you for also being here to listen to them. We hope it's an engaging conversation throughout. Feel free to use the chat area if you want to drop comments, but there'll be a dedicated time, I'm sure, for us to have questions and answers in the end. So without further ado, just to say thank you for being here, and we look forward to engaging with you during the webinar and beyond. Thank you. Back to you, Tawa.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pedi. Like Dr. Pedi said, we are all about women's rights, women's issues, and we have three wonderful speakers for today's webinar. The first speaker is Dr. Adebayo Benjamin Lani. She is Honorable Mandate Secretary for Women's Affairs, and here we have her bio. She's a women's rights activist who is deeply committed to advocating for women's empowerment and increasing their participation in politics. In 2023, she was appointed by the presidency as Honorable Mandate Secretary to head the newly created Women Affairs Secretariat under the Federal Capital Territory Administration. And as Grand Matron of Hope Again for FCT Women in Politics, she played a vital role in encouraging and mentoring women to navigate the political arena in Nigeria. So as you can see, she's very able, very well equipped to for this webinar. Please welcome Dr. Adedayo Benjamin Lani. Thank you very much for joining us today, ma. Thank you. We also have in the line of speakers today, Polly Alakija. Polly Alakija is a distinguished board-level executive. She's a creative director and an internationally recognized artist with over 30 years of experience in arts, culture, education, and social development. Her work spans various sectors, blending creativity with strategy to foster cultural awareness, social inclusion, and education reform. She's the founder and CEO of the Five Cowries Art Education Initiative. She has championed arts education in Nigeria, creating sustainable empowerment programs for underserved communities and establishing partnerships with global organizations like UNICEF, UNDP, and British Museum. Her leadership roles also include serving as Director General of the Shehu Musa Yaradua Foundation, where she develops strategic roadmaps and builds partnerships to advance the foundation's social development goals. Thank you very much, Polly Alakija, for joining us today. We look forward to your to this conversation with you. Please welcome Polly Alakija.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for that most generous introduction. It's indeed a pleasure and an honor to be here with all of you. I feel a bit bad that I'm very, very poor. One of my goals for next year is definitely updating my profiles and my bio, because I can see that everybody's working with a very out-of-date bios. That's on my to-do list for January, but I'm firmly going to push it into January. I'm definitely not going to do it right now. I have to say, when I was approached to speak at this event, my response was, well, actually, I didn't even realize I was being asked to speak. I thought I was being asked to attend because I desperately need this therapy myself. It's been quite a brutal year for me, as I believe for many of us. And so that I'm asked to speak on goal setting and self-care, I found quite ironic, because I feel I'm the one who needs to learn from all of you how you achieve it. But let me start with where I'm at. I don't have slides to share, but what I am sharing with you is my little space of sanity. I'm speaking from my workshop in Abuja. This workshop I've had for about 18 months now, and it began quite by chance and quite by default. It was not planned. I had been looking for a workshop space in Abuja for a while, but I literally stumbled across this space. And then I stumbled into another program that I needed to design. And for that program, I needed to reach out to some young women because I needed them to help me test run the program I was designing. It was a program about reproductive health for girls and young women. And so I contacted the Malam at the local mosque and asked him if he had any girls that might have a couple of weeks spare to come and test a program with me. That was 18 months ago, and you can probably see behind me the girls at work. They never left. They're still with me, still working with me. The program involved a lot of embroidery work, and they had never done that kind of work before. So when they came to work here to test this program, we showed them a few stitches. We did about a week's training. And as I said, they're still here. Now, being able to use your hands, do something tactile and repetitive is the best therapy. And I have so many people come and meet me, come and visit my space. I've had heads of state, I've had diplomats, I've had vice presidents, I've had all sorts of people come and visit this space. And particularly the women want to come back. And I know why they want to come back. They want to come back and have quiet time sitting around this table with these girls stitching. Myself as well, when I have a really stressful day, everybody knows that, okay, Paul is stressed. What does she need? She needs at least 30 minutes to an hour as well, sitting at this table, quietly stitching. So if any of you have access to needle, threads, anything tactile and repetitive, I would strongly advise that next year you pick up such an activity as a new habit, because in terms of self-care, for me, it's something that really calms me down and helps me to focus. So, as I said, I find it ironic that I'm talking about self-care. Goal setting, yes, I'm a goal setter. I have a German mother, and so as somebody who's half German, what we do is we plan and we do set goals. I think, however, it's something that many women suffer from is we beat ourselves up too much for underachieving. We set ourselves very high goals, and we want to deliver. And certainly in the Nigerian context, my women friends here, my girlfriends here, they are all overachievers. And if we don't achieve, we are very unforgiving on ourselves. So what I try and do is before looking forward, I always remind myself to look back. And I always remind myself to look back over the last year and see what I've achieved, what hurdles have I overcome in the last year. So I might at any particular point in time feeling a bit down that I'm underachieving, not getting anywhere close to my goals. But when I look back, if I can remember the last 12 months, which is sometimes quite a problem. If I can remember the last 12 months, I realize, oh gosh, that's where I started this journey. And actually, yes, I've achieved that and I've achieved that. And by default, I've achieved something else as well. So the looking back part, the reflecting part is a very key, for me, a really key exercise I have to repeatedly remind myself to do. It's all too easy to panic as well. So you reassure yourself that you've achieved certain goals, that try and congratulate yourself. But now when I look ahead to next year, between you, all of you in this room and myself, I'm turning 60 next year. And whether I like it or not, whether I try and ignore that fact, it does make me think in a more focused way about that ticking clock, time passing. And it's very hard sometimes not to panic. But we all know that when you panic, when you're worried, that's the worst time to make any decisions. That's the worst time to set a goal. So even though you might have something very intimidating just around the corner, just remember, I have to remind myself, when I'm panicking, when I'm worried, don't make any decisions, don't set goals, breathe, look back, congratulate yourself before moving ahead and making a plan. And as I said, I'm a goal setter and I am a planner. And in front of me here is because I'm nearly 60, I work with paper, I work with pencil, and I work with my yearly planner, which is designed for me. So I have a yearly planner that is structured around my life for me. I don't buy a diary, I create my own yearly planner. And at the beginning of each year, I set my sights on goals. And then I also pick out a mantra. And this last year's mantra, 2025, my last year at being fully 59, the mantra I picked up on was a lesson from Nelson Mandela. And I'm just going to go back to the beginning of my book to pick it out. And Nelson Mandela's words that I picked out at the beginning of this year are, the past is a thief. It will steal the present and it will steal the future. So as I head towards 60 and I'm panicking about the passage of time, where I've gone so terribly wrong, the mistakes I might have made, how would I have done it differently? I remind myself of Nelson Mandela's words, never let your past take away the present, and definitely don't let it take away from your future. So that's been those have been my guiding words for this year. And I don't think I'm going to drop them as I hurtle towards that milestone mark of turning 60. So over the years of my life, as with all of us, I have had a couple of pretty major stumbling blocks and challenges. One point in time in my life, going back 15 years, when I suddenly found myself as a single mom of 4 children. And for 2 years, I can say I was in a complete state of meltdown and panic. I did not know how I was going to get through this. And then a very dear friend of mine sat me down and he taught me the power of that goal setting. But the power of goal setting, it works when your goal is right. So he said to me, when you know what your goal is, it's not a question of can't, won't, there's this challenge, there's that challenge. When the goal is right, you don't worry about what people say, you don't worry about money, but you just fixate on that goal and you just keep going, one small step and then the next small step. And one day, if the goal is right, you will find that you have reached that goal. The challenge, however, is finding the right goal and knowing that it is the right goal. But you will, all of you on this call, you know when you've got the right goal, and you'll understand it's one step after another step. But you will never achieve those steps if you're worried, if you're panicking, if you're beating yourself up. So that's how I've been able to get through a lot of my challenges, is fixating on that goal. Now, throw into that self-care. Yeah. Because again, if you tend to plan rigidly and you have that goal and just keep going towards that goal, it's then all too easy to forget that self-care element. And again, I have that goal that I was panicking about 15 years ago. I got there, I achieved it. But I would say that one thing I did neglect was self-care. But it's difficult. It's that paradox of being doggedly focused at the same time allowing for those moments of chance, those moments of unexpected joy. When you're doggedly fixated on a goal, it's all too easy, or it's all too easy to forget that you need to leave the door open to chance and to the magic in life. So as I said, I find it ironic that I'm sitting here preaching to you about goal setting and self-care, when it is clearly something that I still battle with myself. But I do know that when you manage to work at that paradox of goal setting and also allowing for chance, for those special magic moments in life that don't fit into a plan, then you're going to get to that goal and be calm and be happy, truly happy within yourself. As a painter, so a lot of you would know me as an artist and a painter, and I would say that process that I've just talked about is very much the process of creating any artwork. When you're creating an artwork, it's all too easy to say, right, this is what I'm trying to achieve, right? But if it's going to become something that is that prescriptive, you will lose the element of magic that turns creating something into a piece of artwork. So for me, that's where AI will never be able to replace genuine art, because genuine art allows for magic to come in. So as you focus on that goal and do one little step and then the next little step, please allow space and time for chance and magic to creep in. And as I look back over this last year and at Thanksgiving recently, my Thanksgiving note of gratitude was around the chance meetings and the chance incidents, the things that have happened over this last year that were not part of my plan, the result of bumping into somebody on the stairway, meeting somebody on an aeroplane, that led me in completely new directions and opened my eyes to another way of being and seeing. One of those chance meetings led me a philosopher who, when we talked through goal setting and self-care, spoke about what I've just explained to you and described to you as future backwards thinking. So for me, future backwards thinking is a way of encapsulating and framing both that goal, being razor focused on that goal, and allowing that magic to creep in. And what is future backwards thinking? It is literally believing yourself, living yourself in that future goal space. And when you are there, do that exercise that I explained, described at the beginning, of looking back. I've been looking back over the past real year. When you do future backwards thinking, you put yourself in that future space and look back to where the present currently is. And then you will see how you have got there. And there's no way you can get there without allowing for those moments of chance and magic to creep in. So those are my little words of wisdom. She says calmly and without panicking about 2026 as we hurtle towards the end of 2025. So thank you so much for giving me time to talk to you all. I'm going to hand back to all of you, to the moderator. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Polly, and congratulations on turning 60. We are very honored to learn from you. I believe, like me, everyone has it on their to-do list to add art as a form of stress buster. And in refocusing and re-energizing for the new year, we look backwards for clarity and taking note that panic does not help at all. and of course, throwing in self-care to ensure that we have a well-rounded life. Once again, thank you very much, Polly Alakija. That was very insightful, and it is truly an honor to learn from you. Please, if you have questions, if you have comments, put them in the chat box. We have our next speaker ready. All right. Please, once again, please welcome Dr. Adedayo Benjamin Lani. Ma, are you ready to come up?
I'm ready, set, let's go.
Oh,
So, Eddie here is celebrating, congratulating, and thanking you for bringing every one of us to a me, and me moment. And I say that me, and me, not in the self-centered sense,
oh.
but in the self-centering sense, placing you at the center of all of the dynamic of everything that Polly has described as hurtling in this end timeline of this amazing year, 2025. And I say, not just amazing, but amazing. Me, why? I turned 60 already. And you know what? My comment to me is, if I had known that 60 would be all this sauce and more, I'd have gotten here earlier. Yes. In other words, something has happened that has created a personal pivot in the place of my lived experience into the experience of turning 60 from for all the 6 decades of my life. Coming to this is coming to a moment with a certain quantum. It's not about self-discovery. I will call it awareness. There's an awareness that's come with composure, with a sine qua non. So I can tell you, Polly, fear not, be not dismayed. The 6th floor is sauce and more. And I can only encourage every one of us to live, exhale, and get here. Because I want to believe that probably Polly and I are probably two of the older ones, the elders in this community of the ones who are here at the moment and will be listening. But then I believe that whatever we speak into time, when we speak by the power of the legacy we have lived, we are living, and we in throwing ourselves towards into in the future of our lives. So let me catch us all here with my favorite all-time quote, which is by Henry Thoreau, a French philosopher. And I know this quote from when in Queen's College, my upper sixth, doing the exams, I was given these words in an exam success card by Tunji Akirimisu, who I've never seen since then or spoken with since then. He was a lead debater in King's College. I was a lead debater of Queen's College, Yaba, Lagos. And written in it were these words, which for me became words I cut out of that exam card, placed on my wall in the University of Ibadan from my first year, Jambite year, till I finished. Then I put it into this album of words to my life, to myself, that I've kept forever. And it's completely, it's oldened, let me put it that way, over the years. It's still in my father's house in the room, but it's a message to me. And what it says, it's a quote many people quote, but I've owned this. It says, if one advances confidently in the direction of his, I say, and her dreams and your dreams, and strives to live the life he or she has imagined, you will meet with success, with a success. That's what is put, a success unexpected in common hours. Now, the Thoreau statement of common hours was what had a poignancy for me. Back then, not now, as I've matured and you can say, oh, maybe all the la-di-la of that sound. No, no, no. Something about those words, while I was still an A-level girl, Something about those words communicated to me something profoundly real about the life I was going to face and the future I was going to have to embrace and become brave to embrace. But I didn't realize what it would, it would, it would translate to. It would, the word is not so much, but I didn't realize, coming into yourself, coming into awareness, there are many words you don't use casually anymore. You have to be very causal. I'm very deliberate about how I speak. Happiness is an intentionality. It never happens till you are intentional about owning happiness. Because happiness is not what anyone does for you. It's what you own for yourself. Happiness is not a Panadol or paracetamol you take, a happy cetamol to make yourself happy for the next how many hours. It's not a blood transfusion you can go and take. It's not a triple bypass. It's not a heart surgery. Nothing can make you happy. You can take all the happiness of antidial as oxygen and put it into you. If you're unhappy, my happy oxygen cannot make you happy. You make you happy. No marriage, no child, no bank account, no next promotion, no religious zeal, that or anything makes you happy, except even God cannot make you happy. Let me challenge us in the place of faith. And please understand, I'm a woman I'm pastor woman. Do you understand? I mean, I'm pastor woman, anointed. I'll speak the tongues. I'll release, I'll lay hands and do all that. I can impart joy, but I cannot make you happy. Happy is what you own daily. It's what you give yourself. It's not a tonic. It's an intentionality. And that's why I tell every woman, like I'm telling you now, your first human right as a woman right is your happy right. Happiness is not human rights. It's the woman right that keeps you through your seasons. Because every woman, like Polly was saying, their battles, every woman has a battle. Who has a warrior? Come on, girls. Come on, ladies. You're a warrior. You're built for war. You are an arsenal. Yes, you are Arsenal gunners for life. You may not do the football, but you will do the battles of life. It's the reality. From our first periods or no periods to the menopause or no pause, whatever it is, you're going to bleed your way to live. And then you're going to manage every bit of blood that ever left you so that you can be the all-together woman you were called to be. Whatever is left over of you from anything that ever happened to you, that's all you need to go through and come through to the next best ultimate expression of the distinctive you that you were created to be. So yes, I sound like I'm preaching it. You can send the offering in afterwards, but it's not about an offering. Please, I'm only joking. What I'm simply saying is this. Every woman will have to handle herself as her own preach. And I can preach this and say it because this is the life I am living. This is the life I have the audacity to preach and teach because it's the life I live. Right now, if you know what I'm wearing, we had to rip cloth together to get me redesigned for this. I came in not appropriately attired by the instruction for the dress, and I had no time to go home. Well, we got that cloth, ripped it, put it together, and yes, I ended up with a bomb that looks like PBL, but it's just too much cloth around the back of my rear. What am I saying? In every moment, a woman must have the audacity to recreate, to innovate, to go through and come through. Stuff happens. You're going to have stuff happen to you, like every woman that ever lived before you will ever live after you or will ever live by coming through your womb. No matter how I want to mama my one and only daughter that I love to the moon, back and everywhere, she is still going to go through life and come through life. My daughter, when she was 14, she is the only girl child. She is absolutely adored. I mean, we are all devoted to her, but she went to a school where she was humiliated about the fact that they said, well, she's all beauty, no brains, because she didn't know the math. She was in a very smart, what do you call it, school. And my daughter was going to commit suicide. I was not there. No teacher was there. Nobody was there. But I believe the blessed heart of God being there for me and all of us had a young girl come into that room, see her, and and she broke down, 14 years old. Well, that 14-year-old today is 20. And what she is an inspiration. She had to go through it herself. Mathematics dealt with me. I also had a suicide challenge, but it wasn't because of the math. My mom had left. My parents got separated, eventually divorced when I was 7. I'm 60 now. This year, I'm going to Trinidad to spend my first Christmas in, somebody help me with the math, from 1973 to 2025. My first Christmas with my mom. That's a story. That's a battle I have had to live through to become the who that is speaking to every one of you today. So I'm not just speaking to you as a keynote. I haven't even gotten to my keynote, whatever. I'm here speaking to you from my heart. Polly, go on. Brace yourself, girl. There's a brave, beautiful, audacious woman in you who's gotten a whole nation to focus on the Lokoja, the Lokoja conversation. And the Lokoja conversation is what you brought to a nation. It's going to be a legacy that lives because you, Polly, had the incredible exposure and experience. Yeah, you're a single mother now, but then, because you never told me this part of the story, I'm putting some things together. Somebody took you on a love journey around Nigeria, made you love this country, made you see places that I, as a Nigerian, birthed in Nigeria, have never seen. You took in the pungent fragrance of this nation, our rivers, our forests, our lakes, our animals. You can explain things to me through your art, through your heart, through your conversations, Polly. You know, every time I look at you, I think Polly put the kettle on again. Not in the nursery rhyme context of it. No, no, no. But there's a way in which you have us, or you make me sit down, and you know I love my tea. And I listen. And I love, you all have to bring Polly to your place. She brings the gallery. It's not just the artwork. It's the girl she's mentoring from the indigent lungus. Lungus are the remote locations of Nigeria in spaces and places where no one would ever give them attention. And there they are being trained by Polly and more people and women like you and NGOs and incredible innovators and avatars, just who you are. The woman that is you, that is me, when she's able to embrace whatever her scars are, she becomes the true star of her power that she was born to be. Being beautiful is being you to the full. Say that again. Being beautiful is being you to the full. And when you get to the full, you're not full of you, you're full to the overflow. You feel others. You become a dispenser. You become an inspirer. You become a hope giver. You become a world changer. You become a lover, and you are loved. And you don't need the whole world to love you, to love on you. You just need to find one thing that you love to do that will heal the world and make it a better place. Yes, heal the world, make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race. Too many people are suffering. Too many people are sad. Too many people have nothing. Too little people have everything. He made the world. It's not just the world. He made you. Because the world and all the peoples therein are the creation of the creator to recreate, to redesign, to reframe, to reset, to rescale, to redeem just by the power of who you are. And we don't need religion to make this happen. I've been speaking to you now by inspiration. I haven't shouted the name of Jesus or called on Allah to speak to you. So what is it speaking? That is the spirit, the inspiration God has put in every one of us to speak. Teddy, you set this up to bring all of us on this platform to a place not just where we're inspired from being tired, but we are refired to inspire many, many, many others. There are books in us, movies in us, conversations in us, art in us, beauty in us. Oh, we can go on in us and in you. So I think at this point, I'd like to say good afternoon, ladies. My name is Dio Benjamin Lani, and I happen to be very privileged by political appointeeship to be the Honorable Commissioner of Women Affairs, but that is not what we are called in FCT. We are called mandate secretaries, and I am the first pioneer mandate secretary for women and children of the Federal Capital Territory in the Federal Republic of Nigeria, center of North Central Nigeria, the first in 48 years, and pioneer, trailblazing, you name all the. And let me tell you, it's been 2 years, not so much of hard work, but of hard work. My heart has been challenged. I've gone through mental health issues just coming through these 2 years. I was never exposed to civil service. Even when I was in media entrepreneurship, I've always been a disruption, somehow or the other, just because I had to be brave to be me. It made me distinct from being anything but me. I thought I had to find people who would like me. Then I found out you don't need anyone to like you need to like yourself. So this is my assignment. I also serve representing Her Excellency, the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Yeah, yes, I am representing her as her coordinator for her Renewed Hope initiative, a humanitarian advocacy that reaches here in Abuja the 62 wards, 6 area councils, those are local government areas, 17 tribal chiefdoms, and 884 communities and counting of the FCT. The women, all kinds of references, the adolescent girls, those with disabilities, vulnerable communities, working with all kinds of humanitarian action. And being put into this assignment, what I discovered, not that, oh, I hadn't done this before, but I was born to do this. But it's going to take me being braver. It's going to take me, you know, becoming more resilient. I've discovered steel in me I never knew was there. You see, let's go back to Henry. Like he said, you will discover success unexpected in common hours. I become an uncommon force of reference to myself, to me, as I go through. Yes, I'm coming through imposter syndrome, all kinds of things. Oh, I schooled here, by the way, please. I'm completely Niger schooled. Yeah, by the blessing of God, privileged Corona School, Apapa, VI, St. Louis, Ibadan, Mokola, Queen's College, Yaba, Lagos, the University of Ibadan. Great. If you went to Ibadan, you went to the #1 university in Nigeria and in Africa. So, greatest of the greatest. But we're all in the University of Life and of the world. Betty, do I still have time to do this, or I should just close it here and we can take questions? I have so much to say, and I'm so happy that we are having this conversation now as we transition into an incredible new year of opportunities and exploits and everything. And even if you don't ever get to sit down and put your new year resolution together, just put you together. Put you together with your smile to go the extra mile. Put you together with the beauty that makes you braver to face a brand new year and a brand new world. And even if right now you're battling any form of brokenness, a broken marriage, a broken heart, a broken, you name it, broken this or that, even your health, you got health challenges, let me tell you, you can still be intentional about being happy, even where you are ill with a death sentence. Give your death sentence a life recovery note. Build on this community that today has been so beautifully put together by Eddie. And I'd like to thank Polly for recommending me for this. And yeah, um, Betty, should I go with this? I have a really great speech written here, but I think I've conversated.
Okay, maybe we'll give you 5 minutes to
All right,
just
let me do the
give
5.
the highlights of the
Everybody,
speech for
let's go.
5 minutes.
One,
Thank
two,
you.
bang. Somebody start timing me now. So today's theme: refocus and re-energize. More than a topic, it's a personal call, a leadership call, a wellness call, a sister call, a mother call, an invitation for us to pause, exhale, realign, reassign ourselves, and rise with, it doesn't have to be new purpose, but purpose in us, repurposed to focus. It's a call and a return to clarity, not just to start over a new year in fear or in pressure, but to return to yourself with intention. Attention with intention. What's the intentionality for? Not just setting goals, but making yourself like Wally said, a goal getter, a goal setter, and a goal getter. Which one is it? Go, girls, go and get your goals. As women, professionals, leaders, caregivers, nurturers, just me and yours. We give so much of ourselves to life, to systems, families, communities, institutions. And yes, we get to 60 and we begin to think, oh my goodness, I shouldn't have given away so much of myself. Don't worry about how much you've given away. Focus on what is left over. The remnant is what is the most important thing to take root and fruit upwards. And that is the call of faith. Today I say to every one of us here, you are allowed to pause. You must bring yourself where you are allowed to breathe. You are allowed to pace yourself. You're allowed to take a day off if you want, take the week off, take a month off. You know what? You can just go off and send them a message that you're not up to it right now. If you're really that valuable, they'll wait. If you're not, you just found out. Move on. So you become more centered, more powerful when you become more centered. And being centered by your refocus will determine and define for you what you need to carry into the new year. A suitcase of baggage. Use. Is it just your handle, you understand, or something, or maybe you don't even need, maybe you just need to make sure transactionally you're empowered to buy things when you get to the next destination. Drop everything here. Give it to the orphanage. Drop it for some young girls in university who'd love to wear designer clothes that you've worn for too long and done nothing to redesign your life with. So find what aligns with you and reassign yourself to your purpose. What is draining your strength is draining your happiness, is draining your power of hope. We all need hope.
Can anybody hear anything? Okay, I think it's her network. Let's wait for a few minutes. If she's okay, she's back.
Hello. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma, we
So
can
it's
hear
about
you.
doing what matters. All right. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what matters to who? To you. To find you. Self-care, taking care of you. Like I said, it's not about being self-centered. It's about, it's about centering yourself. It's not an indulgence. It's an infrastructure. It's an architecture. More than survival. It's how you're going to reset yourself to thrive, to to build on what is scalable and sustainable, like we like to say in strategic meetings with business. Well, you're your first business. See, a pitied woman, a depleted woman cannot build a nation. She cannot even build herself. So it's time to allow yourself permission to rest without guilt, boundaries that protect your peace, routines that strengthen your body, your spirit, your mind, mindset reset, silence, stillness that restores your creativity, emotional honesty that frees your emotional honesty that frees your mind. And all that bind is taken away. So it's about renewal. It's not about rushing into the new year. Whatever the world is urging you to do, don't do. Be still. Find an ocean, a stream, a river, or just turn on the tap in your bathroom, your shower. Sit down and allow yourself to just enjoy you, reflect on you. Some tears may come, tear up, but you know what? Wipe those tears. Make up, get up. If you don't feel like making up, just wash your face, have a beautiful, fresh face, and go forward. Take time to heal, to breathe, to forgive yourself, and build courage to grow. I think the year 2026 for me is the year of the brave woman. Be brave. Don't just be beautiful. Be beautiful to the full, overflow. Like I said, being you to the full and overflow means you are just blossoming others to come to bloom from your place of exhaustion. So come to a new year that you design to look like you, feel like you, smell good. In other words, find that oud, that perfume, that fragrance that is you. Find something that hits that note musically and also in the texture of your faith. Be kind on you and be kind on others. And you know what? Don't bother being offended with the offending person. They're also part of the depletion of your life, not just of your strength. So your wellness is priority. Make your purpose one of greater clarity. And as a closing affirmation, I invite you, you know what was put here is to whisper. Don't even whisper. If you can't, shout it out to you. Next year, I choose peace. Next year, I choose purpose. Next year, in fact, why am I waiting till next year? Right now, in this next hour, everything is turning around. I choose me. God bless you. And thank you so much, Betty. Thank you, Polly. Thank you, everyone. I see Funke, Erebi, Bianca. I see Son Suleiman, Amina, Omole, Ruth, Zarain, Ifoma, everybody online. You're right on time. Dun, 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 dun. You get that? Find your old school song that you love because that's who you are called to love. Love you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Ma. We
Thank you, Betty.
Thank you very much, Ma. We absolutely love your energy. This is the kind of vibrant, positive, bold, and happy energy that we love to see, and we hope to have all through our own milestones. Once again, thank you very much, Ma. This was
You're
very
welcome.
exciting.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we had Nelson Mandela from Polly Alakija. We're getting Henry David from Dr. Adedayo. A few of the highlights: being happy is not a tonic, it's intentionality. There's so much about audacity, being to innovate yourself no matter what life throws at you, and so much comes from embracing our scars, and the lovely quote about beautiful being you to the full. So thank you once again for the positive energy. Thank you for an unforgettable reminder that being ourselves is the secret to becoming. So still riding high on the conversations from Miss Polly and the energy from Dr. Adedayo, we welcome our third speaker, Miss Hos. I hope I'm pronouncing your name very correctly, Ms. Omokese Grillo. She's a senior product manager at Carrywise and a multidisciplinary creative. Please welcome Omokese. Please correct the pronunciation of your name. Thank you.
Thank you, Tara. You're right, actually. You can just call me KD. Everybody usually struggles pronouncing my name, so I usually take anything. I just want to say thank you for having me here, and I think that I just sat into a master class of people who have like done life before me, and I feel so honored and privileged to be part of people to speak here today. I want to say thank you to Dr. Adedayo, Benjamin Lani, and thank you to Polly. I apologize for the way I sound. I'm actually under the weather, and my medications are doing a number on me right now. So in the event that you cannot hear me, just call my attention to it. I will try and fix that as soon as possible. On that note, I'd say that I have a slide. I'd share that in the wee hours of last night with Adenike, I think, if we'll just bring that up. Do we have it?
Hello, is it my network?
Yeah, I was asking presentation.
Yes, I'm pulling that up. 1 second,
Okay.
please.
By the way, hope you feel better soon, Kose.
I hope so. I still have to go into the hospital later this week. So yeah, I'm hopeful.
You don't look like it though. So Grace, good on you.
I'm done. Thank you.
All right. Can you see the screen now?
It's not up yet.
How about now?
Not yet. Can anyone else see it?
Okay, let me try a different way.
I could try if you want me to.
Yes, please.
Can you see it?
Yes, it's up now. Thank you so much. I've chosen this particular topic, your money and your life, on purpose because I know that a lot of us, well, I hope that not a lot of us have ever had to be in this situation. In Nigeria, Nigeria here, when you say your money or your life is kind of synonymous to what you hear in a movie, or maybe somebody at gunpoint where they're asking you, give up your money or I'll take your life. But let's bring it home to what we're actually experiencing now. A lot of times, especially as women, we're usually having to pick between, being financially secure and taking care of ourselves, right? Something usually has to give. And a lot of times, because we're women and we're nurturers, we always put our life on the sidelines. I'm here to say that we can actually combine both. And Polly and Dr. Benjamin have spoken.
Is that hello, can anybody hear? Okay, I think it's her network. Let's give it a few seconds.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, as I was saying, Polly and Dr. Benjamin have spoken to this in great detail. And those things are great and are things that we can start to, really embody. But we also need to learn to put systems in place. Because trust me, you have your systems. If you have all of this knowledge at the back of your head and you have your systems in place, you are just going to be one powerful woman living her best life. Like, you're going to be centering yourself if you know exactly where your money goes into, if you know how to set some certain targets for yourself, and if you consistently start to choose yourself, right? Next slide. Great. I mean, this is the Association of Lawyers, so we already understand what this means. Conflict of interest, like I mentioned before. There's always a conflict between choosing yourself and being financially secure. Should I save money? Should I invest? And maybe let me speak from my own personal experience. When I started to put money aside for different things, before I didn't have anything labeled. I would just put money aside because I didn't want to be broke. I didn't want to be poor. I didn't want to be broke. I wanted to have money aside. But then I would need to maybe buy myself a dress and I would be rethinking it. Why do I need to buy this dress? I could not even spoil myself, buy myself anything because I didn't want to touch my money, right? Or somebody would ask me for money. I would be like, if I gave this person money, I don't know what I would have left. I wanted to hold on to my money so much, but I wasn't taking care of myself. And even at work, right? Because of the kind of work that I do is so high pressure that you have to be so many things to so many different people that you forget yourself in the process. So what I had was I was working late until 1, 2 a.m., 3 a.m. for him. Thank God for an understanding husband, right? But what would happen is I was just constantly shortchanging myself because all of those late nights work and all of it wasn't just working for me, but I would still push myself to the limit, which is what we do all the time as women, constantly pushing ourselves without necessarily taking a step back to breathe and applying ourselves and saying, oh, what have I actually achieved this year? Can I do better? Is this something I need to optimize? Should I cut down on something or can I improve something? We most times don't do that. So that's why you have that in pivotal moments of our lives, we get some blues, our birthdays, end of the year, we start to think, what have I actually achieved with my life? Oh, I'm such a failure. I didn't do anything. Well, next year we're going to try again. New year, new me. I'm just going to do better. But then we forget to put systems in place, right? And because of that, we're always met with that decision. Should I do X or should I do Y? Whereas if we had systems in place, we're going to be making decisions from a position of power, from a position of authority, from a position of knowledge, which is what we really need as women. We're already nurturers. We're people who can go the extra mile for whatever it is that we want when we set our minds to it, right? But for some reason, when it comes to certain areas of our lives, we just shortchange ourselves and we don't, bother going the extra mile, right? And that's what I'm here. I'm here to speak on this today so that we can actually start to put systems in place. How do I start to choose myself in theory and in reality? How do I say, okay, I can afford this now. Okay, I should be able to take care of myself without this, without another area of my life suffering, right? A lot of times we're usually on two ends of the divide. It's very hard for us to find a balance. And finding a balance is really where the sweet spot is for living, right? Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide. So before now, I had spoken to a number of people in my circle, I wanted to know what number of people fell into this conflict of interest bucket, right? How many people on a daily basis usually have to make a decision between wellness and financial security? Now, 60% of women particularly say that they are usually in that space more often than not. 90% say that they are conflicted at least once, 60% often. And 50% of those people say that they feel responsible when they're in that particular decision, when they're trying to make that decision, which makes sense because we're women. And because we're nurturers, we're going to have to take care of the woman, of the children, of our parents, of our spouses, of our friends, our work. We need to commit to so many things. And, in the short term, right, we feel responsible. Like these are things that we need to do to have a great life. But in the long term, a lot of times, because we have not paid attention to the other parts that give us essence, that give us personality, we should change ourselves. And then every other person is fine, but you're not. How do you get yourself to that point where you actually need to put systems, where your systems are saving you as opposed to your emotions? Emotions are a great thing. They make us human. But you see, systems make us powerful. We have systems to make certain decisions. We're not making decisions based on vibes. It's that, okay, I know what this thing is for me. I know what this says for me, and this is what I can do. For instance, if somebody were to meet me today to say, oh, I needed money for XYZ, right? I'll say, okay, can I afford it? I will look at my numbers and I'll say, okay, I have this amount to give out every month or every year. And this person is asked for maybe 2 times that. Am I going to say, oh, okay, this person needs this money so much, I need to really help and I need to be so kind? Yes, I'm going to do that. But am I going to give out something that I'm not going to be able to recover from? Maybe not. I'm going to go and look at my systems and see what I am comfortable giving out. And I'm going to come out straight with the person and say, okay, this is what I can give out. And this is what I'm going to give you. This is the plan that this is what you're going to use to follow to pay me back. That way, I have some peace within myself without having to constantly think about the fact that I have different things everywhere. How am I going to get, and I'm pulling on so many strings. And before you know, that just becomes a leading cause of stress in your life. For instance, in my life today, we just recently launched something at work for children. Now, in that work, I had to carry on a number of activities. I had to plan, I had to strategize, I had to come up with documentations, and then you're carrying on engineers, you're carrying on your executives, you're carrying on content writers, one person. And I neglected myself so much that I have a skin condition that is triggered by stress. And in the last 3 months, all of the things that happened with the skin condition got triggered. Everything came back. And listen, these are things that I have spent years to take care of myself, to eradicate. I've managed, things like ulcer, gastritis, seborrheic dermatitis. I've managed all those things very well. And all of a sudden, this one event made me forget everything about myself. And because I'm carrying on so much, all my triggers start to come back. My gastritis, hospital visits, flakes from my scalp, all of those things. I didn't do anything differently. I did not change my diet. I didn't change anything at all. There was just one common denominator: stress, right? As women, we always need to look back and see how much we're giving of ourselves. Do we need to go this far? Do we not? Can we pull back a bit? Are people too dependent on us? Can we empower people to start to make their decisions by themselves? Again, we're women, so mothering instinct will always conflict with all of these things, right? So we need to be intentional about the kind of steps and the kind of decisions that we're making. Next slide. So I've come up with a simple framework that we can use, to always check ourselves. And this is the first one here: attend to yourself selfishly, is something that I have started to do in my own personal life. I'm somebody who is very passionate about the work that I do. I always believe that if I'm not here or if I'm not doing something, something is going to go wrong. Something is going to go wrong. I started to look at that more attentively. So instead of closing work at 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., at 7 p.m., I'm telling my people that I'm not going to be around. If you need me and if it's super urgent, break down the issue for me. And if I look at it and super, I'm going to come back and look at it maybe the next morning. Or if I happen to be going around communication, I will look at it. But that started to help me refocus, right? I'm not jobless. So why do I have to work up until 2 a.m. to prove myself? I don't need that. If I'm not able to prove myself within 8 to 10 hours of my day, how am I going to prove myself during the after hours? Who's going to see that? Yes, I'm going to help. I'm going to help, I'm going to help curb some things at work, and some things are going to go smoothly. But is it possible that I could have managed my time a bit more selfishly? Is it possible that I could have decided to deprioritize some things that are not really, that will not give me any leverage at work? Yes, it's possible, right? So I started to look at all those things within my own life to say, okay, I'm going to do, in the mornings, I'm going to check our data. From 12 noon, I'm going to respond to messages. After now, I'm going to just test our abuse. I'm going to look at how we're performing at work. Do we need to go live on this? Do we need to check this? Do we need to put a stop on this? Do I need to respond to all of these messages right now? I started to look at all those things, and all of this decided to keep me centered, because what happened before was I was everywhere and I was everything to everyone. But as I started to look down into my life and really, really narrow down, I started to prioritize myself. Now, I think I'll piggyback off what Dr. Benjamin said. It does not mean that you're being selfish. No, it means that you're actually trying to be your best version, the best version of yourself to other people, right? Because if there's no essence, if there's nothing there for you, how do you give of yourself? You need to protect that thing which you give out so selfishly, such that when you're called to come and deliver on anything, you're always delivering at your best. Because guess what? If you're spent, nobody's going to see all of that work that you've done. They're only going to see the spent version of you. Whereas that's not what you want to communicate to people out there. Now, the next thing is you need to anchor your performance on a target. Yes, 2026 is coming. New year, new me. I want to do this better next year. But a lot of times what you find is that for a lot of us, our goals are usually open-ended, right? We know that we want to say, I want to lose weight. So we'll just say, I'm going to just stop drinking Coke. Or I want to read if you're a Christian, I want to read my Bible. And, we're not having any systems in place to say, okay, every morning by 5 a.m., I'm going to do X, Y, Z. What happens when we center ourselves on targets is your body it falls into those systems. As opposed to waking up every morning to say, okay, 5 a.m., I'm going to read my Bible. And then you don't say, oh, I didn't read it now. Maybe I'll read it later in the evening. And then later in the evening, something comes up, right? And then you don't go back to it, right? If you decide that what I want to do is wake up 5 a.m. to do X thing, and you wake up consistently 5 a.m. for the first 7 days, you go back and say, okay, I've done this for 7 days. Can I do it more? I'm going to push it to the next 14 days. I'm going to push it to the next 1 month. You always need to give yourself realistic goals, smart goals, specific goals, measurable, right? Achievable goals, things that you know that you can come back to, as opposed to leaving things open-ended. And I usually say that focus on things that are realistic. You don't just wake up one day and say, today, okay, I finished the year with 1 million in my savings account. Next year, I want to have 100 million. How are you going to do that? How? You're not putting all of those things in writing. You're not saying that, oh, I have all these other extra things that I can actually draw funds from. It's just in a way, it borders on wishful thinking. You always need to have specific goals. By the end of the year or by the end of H1, I want to be able to have saved 10 million naira, right? I want to have 10 million naira in investments by the end of H2. And it's not enough to say that I want to have this amount by the end of H2. I want to have done one thing by the end of H2. You need to be able to track your performance. What you don't track, you cannot improve. You can go to the gym every day. You don't track your sugar levels. You don't track your muscle levels. You don't track your weight. You don't track all of those things. It will be very, very easy for you to fall again. And guess what? Most times when we fall flat, it becomes more difficult to climb up again to that level. All of these things I'm saying, they're the boring stuff. We can hear all the nice things and, I'm going to do better. I'm going to do that. But how do you hold yourself accountable to all of these goals? As somebody I respect would say, she would say, don't half-ass it. Do not half-ass yourself. You need to bet on yourself consistently. It is boring to wake up to look at something every quarter and say, how am I doing? It is extremely boring, I promise you. But it's something that you need. It makes you speak from a position of power, from a position of authority. And I'm going to say that, yes, it might be difficult for you to just be, you're not a robot. So following things in step might be difficult for you. But, there's a reason why sport athletes right now, you give them the sports that they are comfortable, like a Tiger Woods or a Roger Federer. You give a Tiger Woods a golf ball, and he knows what to do with it. Why? It's because he has followed a certain set of structure. He had followed training. He has followed systems that right now it is second nature to him. When I started, I would always, when I get my pay, I would invest my money in certain buckets. And when I need to take out money from anything, I would always need to go and look back. Now, I don't. It gives me the room to be creative, right? Because I've had some structure, I can build creativity on top of that structure and kind of swing different ways, right? You need to be able to track everything that you're doing. If you're able to track, if anything comes your way, as opposed to your first response being anxiety and stress, your first response is, I'm going to be speaking from a place of knowledge. Because first of all, I know my goals. I am tracking my goals. I know how I'm doing. And I know that if I make this step, I might either set myself back or I might improve on whatever it is that I'm doing. If you're not doing all of those things, we'll always be back in that cycle of stress, being anxious. You don't know what to improve. You're just trying so many different things. And I'm saying that because I've been in that bucket many times. My background started in architecture. And then I moved to writing. And then I moved to administration. And then I did TV production. Could I have stayed in architecture? Maybe. But at the time, I just wanted to try many different things. But I also wasn't looking at, okay, how far I had gone in architecture. Can I build something out of this or not? Can I build something out of singing or not? Can I build something out of administration or not? I just wanted to try so many different things. I wasn't looking back or tracking anything. I wasn't doing any of those things or checking my performance at all. Once it looked shiny and once it looked nice, I would move, right? And that for the most part, it didn't help me. But I was able to come back and find a common thread out of all my experiences, because at some point I needed to introduce structure into everything that I had done with my life. So if you're going to be better at stress management, managing anxiety, burnout, all of those things, a lot of times, most of these issues stem from what you have available, your money. If you know where your money is going to, that is already one level of stress accounted for. You can easily trash that out, right? You know that every month, 50% goes to this, 20% goes to this. If it's more than this 20%, I need to be looking at it. Can I optimize it? And it leads me to my next point, the 50-30-20 rule. Now, finance experts will tell you that this is a basic guide to say, oh, okay, if you get your money, this is how you should split your money. 50% should go to your needs, your rent, your food, your transportation. 30% should go to your wants. Maybe you want to buy a new phone, you want to buy a new dress. 20% should go to your savings and investment. This is great to follow. If it's something that you don't already do, this is a great starting point for you, right? And now, if at some point, as much as I'm saying that this is a great starting point, I also don't want you to constrain yourself to it. I'll give an example with my life. Right? I didn't need to pay rent for the longest time. And so I was doing more in savings and investment. But at some point, I needed to invest in myself. I needed to pay for certification. Like this year, I did not save as much. So I spent more on the things that I consider wants and needs, right? You need to be able to always check, is this working for me? You need to be able to go back to say, okay, I can do 50% here or 30%. For you, you might not be paying rent. For you, you might have a chef who is serving you food every day, and you might not need to be spending money on food. Can you put that money into somewhere else? Can you put that into a passion? And it takes me to my next point. Apply yourself to something that you are passionate about. I promise you, a lot of times, the things that make us stressed out is the things that we do on a daily basis that we don't track. So you're working every day. You have to, show up at work. You have to show up for your children, show up for your husband, show up at church, do a number of things. But you are not looking deep down at that thing that is making you you. Again, I'll use myself as an example. I had a terrible relationship with food, so I would not eat. But I would walk and I would take all the sugars and everything in this world. And then I became lactose intolerant. But then when I started to look at the things that made me happy, I picked up baking and I taught myself how to bake. So if I needed to relax or decongest, I would go into the kitchen and I would bake. And then I picked up singing. I started to back up for musical artists. So every Saturday, every weekend, I know that I need to go for rehearsal just to keep myself sane. And on Monday, I'm going to show up as senior product manager at CarryWise, pushing all the nice things out there, digital products, helping people make sense of their money, doing all of that. But I know that after work, I'm going to need to go to the gym to work out. Or after work, or after a good week, I'm going to go for rehearsal. Or I want to try one new recipe. All of those things add up to you need to find things that are interesting to you and really just nurture them. You cannot be that person who is everything to everybody and nothing to yourself. And I always like to use my life as an example because I've suffered from things like anxiety before, like I've gotten actual diagnosis to that, right? I've suffered from, triggers, skin issues, health issues. And I started to take a step back. I could only take a step back because I'm tracking. I want to be able to do some certain things and I don't want money to be a problem for me, right? I want to be able to travel, for instance. Can I take a 2-day vacation? Will I just go and take money from somewhere without even planning? No, because I know that I've been able to save 20% of my pay every month, or 30% or 40 or 10% every month. I know that I can go back there and I can afford to take a certain percentage to really cater for myself. Right? All of these things work together to actually alleviate your stress levels. So it's great to know that. I'm sure that for most of us, we know that we can't just be working and not taking care of ourselves. But for a lot of us, we also don't apply systems into ensuring that we are taken care of. So we end up doing all and everything to everybody and we neglect ourselves. Whereas we can start to make some small changes that will just help us be that powerful woman that we're supposed to be, that authentic woman that we're supposed to be, and that person who knows how to keep her stress levels in check, her burnout in check, and who knows, because she has listened to herself so much, that when I'm burnt out, this is the thing that I need to do for me to get my life back on track. And to this end, so that you can leave this call and start to apply some things into your different lives. I've shared a budget tracker with the organizers that you can start to impute your expenses in. I also use the 50, 30, 20%. Remember, it's just a guide. It's not supposed to constrain you into following all of those things, all of those buckets. I've benchmarked them on all the different percentages that go to needs, wants, and savings, so that you can start to track things like your expenses, your costs, right? Should I be doing black tax now? How much do I have to give? All of those things. They'll share the tracker with you. I promise you, if you don't do this already and you start to do it now, it starts to help you to become more knowledgeable about things that are stressing you out, especially when it regards or when it relates to money. And I hope that with these few points of mind, we can go into 2026 knowledgeable and powerful and authentic. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I've shared the tracker in the chat box. It's in the chat box. Thank you for being so generous, providing this budget tracker. And thank you for maintaining the energy and wrapping up this conversation about prioritizing ourselves up very nicely. So many useful pieces of information. There's making decisions from a place of power, and knowledge, as opposed to shortchanging ourselves. There's how emotions make us people and systems make us powerful. I think that's my favorite. Emotions make us people and systems make us powerful. And it's very true to, you being a senior product manager, it makes so much sense that you see structure and systems as, tools that make our work, our lives easier. And how this new year goes, this new year conversations are not just empty promises or promises that we don't act on. They have to be, we have to build systems that make them come true. So thank you once again. Please, if you have questions, if you have comments, please put them in the chat box. Someone saying, thank you so much for the depth research and guidance. That's Zahrain. Thank you. Please, more questions, more comments in the chat box. And don't forget, the budget tracker is in the chat box. While we wait for comments and questions, just to reiterate the conversations, because we had a very well-rounded conversation. I think the theme here is prioritizing ourselves. The theme is, putting yourself first, and two different but very similar ways. Miss Polly talked about art as a illustration. She used her own life as an example, and how, to a large extent, we need to put in stress busters and look forward by also looking back. I think that was also very important in terms of clarity, because we were in a time of setting goals. Straight to Dr. Adedzaya, who talks about gives a lot of positive energy, and how happiness is something that we should have internally and not source it from external places. And finally, Omokose, who gives us a lot of information about how structure makes our dreams come true. It's not enough to want them, or it's not enough to just do little to make them come true. Systems, structure makes these things possible. So thank you very much to all speakers for a very well-rounded, very interesting, entertaining, and unforgettable conversation. If you have any question or comments, please put them in the chat box. We have one question from our chairperson. Dr. Petty, please.
I don't even know if the person has a question, but whilst people are putting in the chats and all that, I just wanted to ask, especially, I have a question for all three presenters. The first question, I think it's similar for both Polly Alakija and Dr. Adedayo Benjamin-Lanni. And that's, if you had to give an advice to your younger self, so maybe 30 years ago, because I'm trying to center myself in this conversation, as you might be suspecting, maybe 20 years ago, what would that advice be? What do you wish you had been told 20 years ago that you think would have made a real difference for you? And for Kose, my question is, how do you balance when people ask for support or ask for money, especially, how do you balance giving without putting yourself at risk? What's the practical advice you could give for us to be able to balance sharing with people, responding to people's needs without jeopardizing your own well-being? Thank you.
I think you're muted, ma'am. Yeah, okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I'm going to dive straight on in, which is completely counter to what I'm about to say. I think my younger self, I had some brilliant mentors. And I think my natural self is to be a little bit loud and to be a little bit big. And so if I think back to my mentors all reinforced that and said, Polly, be brave. Yeah, be bold and be brave. I think those are words from my childhood mentors that resonate with me and have always resonated with me. And I would stick to that, and I would want to reinforce that to my younger self. But I think what I would want to add to that is to not only look and see, which of course is been what my life has been all about, looking and seeing. I think to my younger self, I would want to add to being bold and brave and looking and seeing. I would want to add to listen and to hear. And I think for me, my life so far has been about looking and seeing, and less about listening and hearing. So I think that's what I would add to the advice that I received as younger Polly from my mentors, is about listening and hearing. I have a couple of mentors now. So like, as you get older, your mentors have to get older and older, right? So I have one mentor who's very seasoned, business person who's passionate about conservation. And yeah, I think one would say he's been a successful in all his career journeys. And he talks about a 3-piece jigsaw puzzle, which is based on listening. And I like breaking things down into 3s, because back to my little steps, right? If a challenge is just 3 steps, we know that we can do it. And so his advice to me is about listening, then understanding, and then doing. Yeah. My younger self would have dived always straight into the doing. So I think that listening and hearing and understanding is something that I've only learned over the years. And as somebody who's very visual and whose life journey has been based on visual arts, visual communication, I kind of overlooked the listening and hearing element. So that's what I would want to add to the mentors of younger Polly. Thank you.
Thank you. I think there are other questions within that question. Dr. Adedayo Jose, would you like to jump in? Jose, are you there? All right. I have a comment very linked to Dr. Petty's question. Thank you very much for your response. I have a comment, and it cuts across theory of the conversation we've had. It's more of appreciation. I think the most fulfilling part of this conversation for me has been the general theme of embracing our lives as it is. That is, you are 30, you are 60, there's beauty in that. And embracing that as it is. So that's one of the major highlights for me, the central theme of embracing yourself, embracing the stage of life you're in now, and moving from there. Thank you very much. Are there any other questions, comments especially?
Can anyone hear me? Hello?
Yes, please. I can hear you, Kosi.
Okay, yeah. If you'd be kind enough to take your question again, please.
I think the question was...
Dr. Petty.
Yes, no worries. Thank you, because the question was, how do you balance being generous or responding to people's needs with not compromising your own well-being in the process?
Fantastic. I think thank you for that question. I've learned that over the years. First off, if you know where your expenses and your funds are going into, you know exactly how much you're willing to part with. That's the first thing. The second thing is, my own system for doing that is to only part with something I am comfortable to let go. So if somebody says, I need 500K, can I comfortably borrow 100 or 200K to this person? And if this person doesn't give me back, will I be okay if I lose it? That's my framework, and that's what I do. If somebody comes to me and say, I need this, and I'm going to give you back at so and so time. And I do this especially when I've never given this person funds before, and there's no track record. I don't know if you're going to give me back. I don't know if you're usually on time. I don't know all of those things. I use that as a way to check things first. So I only lend what I'm able to comfortably let go of. So if it doesn't come back to me, I know that I've learned. I know I didn't give all of myself. I didn't throw myself into unnecessary stress levels. But I also know that if this person comes back, I likely will not have any funds to give this person anymore. Or if this person is true to their plan and their word, I know that I can start to trust the person more. So what I would do then would be I would increase the level of funds that I can part with to that person.
Thank you, Jose. Thank you. Thank you. So do not give more than you are able to at any point in time. I think that's the lesson there. Thank you. Someone has their hand. Miss Amina, please. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for the wonderful session. It was very, very beneficial. I learned so much. So for me, it's more or less of a comment, actually. I'm really grateful for this, especially the budget slide we got. I have this struggle with, balancing my finances, and this session has been very, very wonderful. And to actually have a tracker in place now that I can modify to suit my spendings, it's very wholesome. It's very wholesome. And at least it gives me something to work with and to keep an eye out for leakages, in my spendings. I also like to say that one thing I loved was actually the don't be offended with the offending person. I think holding grudges and living in the past actually brings a person down. It blocks a person from seeing the future and what can be, and keeps someone stuck. So this is actually a very, very nice point I would actually try to work more with. Thank you so much, everyone, and for all the speakers. It was very lovely. Thank you.
Thank you, Amina. Thank you for your comments. And thank you, everybody. So very quickly, can we put our cameras on for a group photograph? Can we do that? I'm putting my on right away for a group photograph.
Tawa, are you taking the photo? Because
Um,
I know how to put on my camera, but I can't guarantee that I can take the photo.
I am trying to put it in. Okay, let's see. Is everybody, are we seeing everybody's faces? A lot of cameras are still okay. Okay. Okay, everybody say cheese. Okay, I think I got it. Thank you, everyone, for putting your cameras on. Thank you for indulging.
Is anyone speaking?
Tawa, you're muted.
Oh, yeah, I wanted to know if anyone was speaking because I could check the comment.
Oh, I had been speaking. Sorry about
We
that.
couldn't hear you. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was saying that we are gradually getting to the end of this session. So we'll go very quickly to the closing remarks.
I sent a message down in the chat box. Please, can you address it?
Okay, there's a question in the chat box. 1 second, please. Okay. Is Dr. Adedayo still? I'm not sure if she's still on the call. Is she?
Okay, can I just speak to that one? I think that's something that we can pick up after the webinar. So
My
I'm going to
question
drop
last one.
So is that a question from Comfort Husseini, or is this a different question?
It's a different question from Fasilat.
Okay, apologies. Can you just say the question because we can't seem to find it? Is this the one about anxiety?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'll read it out. Thank you very much. Okay. There's a question here, Tawa. I'm not sure if you've seen it. I'll read it
Okay.
out.
All right.
Can you emphasize more on how to overcome anxiety and become brave at making decisions and stepping forward or speaking up, especially at workplace or organization, considering larger space of diversity and expectation come responsibility? I don't know if our speakers got that, or do you want me to read the question again? I'll read it again one time. Can you emphasize more on how to overcome anxiety and become brave at making decisions and stepping forward or speaking up, especially at workplace or organization, considering large space of diversity and expectation come responsibility? Thank you for the question. Polly, would you want to speak to that, or Kose? How do you overcome anxiety? You're muted.
Do you want me to speak to that very quickly?
Yes,
Sorry,
please.
but I'm going to do it very quickly. And, you know, I mentioned that when you're panicking and worried, it's the worst time to make any decisions or any plans, right? And so how do you overcome anxiety? Quite often what I do, my trick is don't even entertain it, right? Necessity can force the way. So sometimes when you're right up against the cold face, you know you've got to come up with a solution. There's only one way forward. Anxiety, don't let it creep in, because otherwise it's going to destroy you. So very much it's about that. There's no wiggle room for anxiety. It's non-negotiable. You're not going to let it in. Now, in terms of crises in my life that affect my family, when it affects my children as a mother, you know, you're just not going to let anxiety in. Anxiety is not going to get between you and what is right for your children. Then in terms of if I'm guiding people in a creative process, whether it's making a painting or designing a logo or doing organizational structure, I tend to put on a timer and say, watch that sand go through the timer. And you got 5 minutes, or you got 20 minutes, or you got 30 minutes, and time is up when 30 minutes is gone. And all of a sudden you realize you've got a job to do. Don't entertain anxiety. It's not a conversation you're even going to allow in. So that's how I deal with it. So it's a bit tough, but just don't even entertain it. Shut it out right now.
Thank you very much.
Can I add to that?
Yes, please.
Okay. I think the first thing that you need to understand is navigating anxiety is a journey. You need to be comfortable with the fact that it's not going to go away in one day. That's the first thing. The second thing is at the workplace, I find that usually stems, or that usually comes up when you're trying to communicate with people who might be senior in level to you. So you're usually not, you likely will not be anxious when you're talking to your peers on the same level as you. You guys have lunch together, you brainstorm on stuff together, but maybe you want to present some idea or you want to talk through some strategy to your higher ups, and then that's where the anxiety creeps in. Maybe if you've not noticed, maybe something that you need to start paying attention to. What might be helpful would be that, for instance, I'll use myself as an example. If I was going to speak to my CEO or my CTO about something, I know that when it relates, when I'm speaking with my CEO, I know that this person believes in data. this person is going to listen to me if I have data to provide. If you have data for this person, you will get him to listen to you. Even if what you're saying does not make sense, the fact that I'm able to point to some sort of data, right? This person will listen to me. Or my CTO, who's a doer, he believes that, no matter the situation you find yourself in, even if there's a blocker, you need to have tried every means possible to unblock yourself. So for me, I'm going to need to be able to demonstrate to my CTO that I have the data that I need to back up what I'm saying. And for my CTO, I need to be able to demonstrate to him that I have tried every means possible, and now I'm here because I need to try other solutions. So you need to meet people where they are. And if you do that, people will start to listen to you, because anybody can come up and say anything. But if you know that this particular person is biased towards this thing, for instance, I'm just going to give that person that, right? And that will get my foot in the door. And most of the time when we're anxious, when we start to balance out. So if you give yourself a good landing by knowing that this person cares about this particular type of thing, I'm going to do that. It's the same way I'm also going to get buy-in from maybe my colleagues, because I know that maybe I'm probably not there yet and my anxiety is dealing with me, putting stress on me. What I would do would be that I would go and probably speak to people who have the ears of the people that I need to communicate with. I'm going to try and sell whatever it is I'm talking to them about it, and try to get buy-in, from them, so that when I'm trying to speak about this thing, I can already get it, because somebody has already bought in. I already have buying from different people. So in summary, find out what matters to the people that you're speaking to and come from there. If you go from there, anxiety will start to step out. The other part to it is recognize the anxiety and call it out, right? You have to start speaking positive thoughts to yourself. There's no other way to it, right? I'm not anxious. I know what I'm doing. I'm not wasting my time. I'm going to start. I might make mistakes. I'll come back and I'll continue again, because the thing that you're finding, that you're looking for most times, is on the other side of fear, and it's on the other side of anxiety. So look out for the things that matter to the people that you're trying to speak to, and try to come from there, relate from there. Get social buy-in, get buy-in from other people, and speak positive thoughts to yourself. I hope that really helps you.
Thank you so much for that, Kose. And thank you so much to everyone who sent in their questions. I mean, it's been an amazing event. I think I've gone through all the emotions in today's session. I've gone from smiling to crying to just reflecting to being hopeful and just looking through the comments. I think it's been very similar for most of us. One of the things I want to say is that this is a moment we've all shared, and it doesn't need to stop here and now. This is actually to propel us into the next steps. And we've been given very um, practical strategies that we should start implementing already. We shouldn't wait for the new year. I would say let us start already. Let's start small, but let us be consistent. I'm really grateful to all the speakers for sharing of yourselves very openly, being very candid with us, being just exposing yourself to us. I think that's for me has been very, very, very powerful, because it's one thing for us to read these things in the papers, it's one thing for us to go online and find tips, but it's another thing for someone who's walked the road to be open enough to say, I've walked this road, this is how I am navigating it. So thank you to all our speakers and to everyone who's been part of the process of making this work. Now, as a committee, we're really keen to do this in collaboration with our speakers, but also with everyone who's been part of the webinar. So if you're not already part of us, part of the committee, please do join us. I've dropped the email address in the chat area. We're active on LinkedIn as well as X or Twitter. So please do follow us and be part of the conversations, so that we can together move forward the narrative of not just what is important in terms of refocusing, re-energizing, self-care and purposeful goal setting, but also in terms of what really matters to make the society, the places we work, more livable and more supportive of women's well-being. The question about anxiety, I just want to add to that there's some things that we can actually also do in addition to what Polly has shared and Kose has also shared. And one of the things I think I'd like to share is just being Kosa mentioned just facing that anxiety, owning it and knowing that, okay, this is what I am going through. I think that's something that I would like to buttress as well as being important. And the truth is, we all go through it in one form or the other at various times. There are different reasons why people go through anxiety. Sometimes, like Kosa mentioned, it might be because you're speaking to a senior person at work, or it might be because you're doing something for the first time. So it's a valid emotion. It's not something to be worried about. It's not something to be ashamed of. It's not something to feel incompetent about. I think it's absolutely fine to feel anxious, but it's what you do about it that then becomes more important. So one thing is when I feel anxious, I just breathe. Take a step back and just breathe, because somehow it just has a way of just calming my emotions. So it's like if you've just come from running and then you're going into a meeting, those few seconds before you speak, you just stop and you breathe in and breathe out. And it just has a way of telling your heart, stop, normalize, just balance before you then start speaking. And I think one of the speakers said, it's okay for you to take time away and say, oh, I'm taking a break. Whether it's a break for one day, it's a break for 30 minutes, a break for 1 hour, whatever it is. And I think we should also permit ourselves to step out of situations that make us anxious. And so if it's becoming such that, you're constantly anxious, whether it's for work or whatever, then it's fine for us to just take a step back and try and get better. And so sometimes it's about breathing. Sometimes it's about even just checking where we are. It might be lack of sleep that's causing the anxiety. It might be even just overdose of caffeine, coffee. It could be because we need to get more information about something so that we feel more confident. That's absolutely fine. So I think we also need to try and find out why we are anxious. Is it a situation that's making us anxious? Why is that situation making us anxious? And that might also help us understand what we can do about it. I think also in the long term, let's not avoid it. Let us not avoid the discomfort, because with everything new, there's a discomfort. There's a discomfort with learning something new. There's a discomfort with trying something new. Let's not avoid the discomfort, because in that discomfort is actually an opportunity for growth, is an opportunity for expansion. But we just don't want to stay in a discomfort or in an uncomfortable place for too long. I think that's where the problem lies. So a momentary discomfort is fine. Let's get used to it and let's learn something to help us get more comfortable with that situation. And to be honest, if we're too comfortable where we are, then we need to shift, we need to change, we need something to challenge us. So as we go into the new year, let us just build on all the strategies. The recording will be available on our social media. So please follow us on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and we'll post all of the recordings so that people can just follow. And for anyone who may have missed this, who you think it might be useful to, please encourage them to catch up on the recording. And like I said, if you're not part of the committee already, please do join us. We'll be more than happy to welcome you and to work with you in the new year, because we have lots of exciting programs planned for 2026. So thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of the year. There's so much I've picked out of this. I can't even begin to say this, but I think at the very least, one thing I want to take out of this is you're enough. You're enough. So just find yourself, give yourself the space to grow, forgive yourself if you've made mistakes. Just be kind to yourself, because you can't be kind to others if you're not kind to yourself. For those of you who are lawyers, you can't give what you don't have, right? So be kind to yourself. That thing you want to see in others, that thing you want others to see in you, see it in yourself, first of all. And trust me, others will see it in you as well. Thank you so much, and keep in touch. Enjoy the rest of the year. Happy holidays, however you wish to celebrate. Thank you so much. Thank you, Polly. Thank you, Kose. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Betty. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Have a wonderful